We're gonna fool around and fill the room with laughter today. Put on your rosy colored glasses and your smile, yeah, that's the way. Because we're putting on the nonsense, the funny stuff and nonsense, the riddles, jokes, and silly things. It's all tomfoolery. Oh yes, we're putting on the nonsense, the funny stuff and nonsense. We'll tickle every funny bone. It's all tomfoolery.
With the enthusiastic element, the fastidious fish, the yongy bongy bow, the scroobiest snake, and the umbrageous umbrella maker.
Come on, we're putting on the nonsense, the funny stuff and nonsense, the riddles, jokes, and silly things. It's all tomfoolery.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mondays with MAZUR. It's June 5th, a Monday. It's the captain, the Mud Shark, joining me, Tony MAZUR. What's up, Tony?
I was doing fine until I saw that Rankin Bass show. Boy, was that awful. What was that? Tomfoolery? Was that what it was called?
People have been sending me all these obscure 70s and 80s credits of shows that just came and went. And some of the shows are hilarious because one show has Martin Short on it, a show I never even heard of. I mean, there's so much bad TV out there.
What was the one we saw? Maybe you played it a month ago, and it had, I think it was Mickey Rooney and Dana Carvey on it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, everybody. We're having a good time. I'm here with my buddy, Tony MAZUR. We do this Mondays at 2:30. We're going to be doing it 2:30 every Monday, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
For the foreseeable future. If you're jumping in the chat, hit subscribe. Still haven't got the old channel back. Don't know what's going on with that. But for now, right now, we're doing it. We're having fun. We're having a good time. I just had a nice phone conversation with the great Jim Florentine. And man, oh, man, that's all I'm going to say. Keep it vague.
I'm sure there's a lot to say. And of course, we do these shows every Monday, although we got delayed because you had some computer problems and some YouTube issues last week that we did it on Wednesday. But it's funny because I love these shows because in truth, I know the feuds that are going on, but I like hearing them again as to an update over the weekend. So since Wednesday for the last 5 days, so you're feuding with Melton again, right?
Yeah, Melton took a turn. He's not who I thought he was. He was who I thought he was until he wanted me to come back around again. He basically used my heat, my rivalry with Steel Toe to reignite his following because he lost a lot of followers from the Red Bar stuff. So now he's like Team Kevin, and he's kind of showing his true colors. And it's disappointing, but what are you gonna do?
Now, and then you were feuding with Pat Dixon. What was this about?
I was never feuding with Pat Dixon. I think Pat Dixon was trying to get something going because I just said, I'll give you $800 if I ever did your show. And I completely forgot about it. It was like when I was living with Gino in Harlem. I did the crime report, and I have zero recollection of doing it because I was drunk when I did it, and it was not. So anyways, I don't know. I ended up giving me the $1,000 for the pool bet, but he gave me $200 and gave Pat the $800 to look like a good guy. I'm like, Bob, it's not your bet to pay. Like, give it to me and I'll take care of it. And Florentine was going to backdoor that and send me $800 because he thought it, just to make Levy look bad. So it was a whole thing. I can't keep up. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's so funny because it seems like I could be wrong and things could change in the next day or so, but we could be coming out on the other side, and who knows, some enemies become allies again. You never know. Who knows? Maybe you'll go on MLC again. Now, I saw over the weekend, I'm trying to watch MLC, and then Kevin's doing a separate stream, and then Levy, Ski Mask, and Ray DeVito, who's walking around New York, is on a separate stream, and they couldn't figure it out, and they had to try like 3 different times to reconnect. What was going on there?
I guess they tried to do a late night stream, and the irony is it's so funny because they were on me for doing that one drunk show, and meanwhile they're hammered and he can't figure StreamYard out, and I'm just like, what are we doing? You're all full of shit. You're all liars, all of you. Except I'm the only one that will stand up against Kevin, and they're all afraid. They're beta bitches, and they fall in line. That's what I'm saying.
Ski Mask is now taking his mask off.
Who cares? Nobody cares about that guy. If you have Ski Mask on your show, that means you don't have a good show. That's period. It's like you don't have any credibility. The show's not good, and that's a fact. What's up, Guy? I don't know. What did you do over the weekend? I had a nice Saturday evening, and I had a good Sunday away from all of this. I just got away. I didn't deal with any of it, and it was fantastic. I went on a actual date, like an old school traditional date with a girl. Like I'm talking movie, dinner, that kind of date.
It wasn't with Harry Jane, was it?
No, I don't. Why is she in my world again?
You're gonna snipe Ray's dates now.
She came around when I was on the Alan Cox show, and it's just like now she's back around again, and it's just I'm the focal point of all of it. I really am.
Now, what did you see? What movie? Where'd you go to eat? I mean, you don't have to say the exact places. You don't want people following you and saying it's don't fuck with Cumia or anything. But what movie did you go see? Like an action flick or a Star Wars or whatever?
I did the double duty. I went last week. I saw Bert Kreischer's The Machine, and Saturday I went and saw Sebastian Maniscalco's movie.
So you took the date. Now, did the date know that you've known Sebastian? You've worked with him a bunch of times. You've told the story about how didn't he have like $100 bills on the dashboard of your car?
Sebastian Maniscalco was coming in to the Cleveland Improv. It was like right after the Vince Vaughn Wild West comedy tour thing. So I think he had just done the Tonight Show, and he came into the Cleveland Improv, and it was like back then it was Tuesday through Sunday. That's used to be the comedy club hours, the old powerhouse, and I was the feature. And Mike Beater, who owns the Water Street Tavern in Kent, Ohio, says, "Hey, you think we can get Sebastian here to do a comedy night?" I go, "Absolutely, I could work that." And I texted him, and he goes, "How much?" I go, "You're getting 500. I'm getting 100 to open." He goes, "Let's do it." So he flew in a day early. I picked him up from the airport. We drove down in my Honda Civic and did the show. It was packed room. It was great. Sebastian's hilarious. Afterwards, we got our cash. We got in the car. As soon as we got in the car, before I could start the car, he's counting out the $20 bills to make sure he has the 500. Fast forward to what he cleared 15 million last year, and he's a movie with Robert De Niro. So someone's doing well.
How about that? So did you enjoy the movie, or were you cringing that, or were you just trying to get laid and you're like, oh, hey, what do you think? Yeah, quite a movie, huh? And you're just doing anything you can to keep the throbbing erection between your legs?
No, I mean, it was just a nice, calm thing. And I have nothing against Sebastian. I'm happy for his success. I think he's a very funny comic. You know, he's always been nice to me. You know, it's just so weird to see these people you've worked with. I have their phone numbers. Like I can call, well, they're not going to answer, but I can literally text them, and they're on the big screen now. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, okay, well, there you go.
So would you have rather seen what you saw with bringing a date? So you're with a female, you going to see the Sebastian movie with De Niro, as opposed to if you saw The Machine with Mark Hamill and Bert Kreischer? Would you have rather taken a date to the one you did see?
Yeah, I think so. Because there was like a romantic element to it. It was more of a date movie than The Machine. So I don't know. And it wasn't my thing. You know, I think De Niro's jumped the shark. I think whatever he had.
De Niro jumped a shark ultimately with, what was it, Analyze This?
Yeah, I mean, he started
where he was still trying to be the tough guy, but it's now a comedy. And then you had Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then Meet the Parents, and then he's just like, hey, I'm a crossing guard now.
Yeah, well, he was going through a bunch of divorces, right? And he had to do a bunch of crappy films that pay for these divorces, from what I hear. Then he got political. That's when he was like, fuck Trump and all that. And all the Italians actually turned on him.
It's a mutt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and how many kids does he have? Because isn't he having a kid? And then Pacino's having another kid.
Yeah. Isn't Pacino having a kid with like a 29-year-old girl?
Yeah. And he's
I guess she's a woman. Good for him that his junk's working.
Well, I mean, I saw that last week. There was some people were upset. I think it was out of Yahoo News, and people were upset about the fact that you can be an old man and still knock a woman up, but women only have a certain amount of time. And I'm like, yeah, that's because we have biological differences between men and women. I know we like to pretend there's not, so we can have, monsters play against women in the WNBA, but no, there are biological differences. And one of them is, women probably need to have kids by the time they're probably 40 something. And that's about it. You're not going to have many 70-year-olds having children.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's, whatever. It's, they can afford it. So fuck them.
What'd you have for dinner?
What are you, a fucking investigative reporter?
No, I'm curious because it's been a while since I've been on a first date. My wife and I are celebrating 3 years of marriage this year, and then we were together about 3.5 years before then. So it's been a while since we had the big first date. So I'm wondering how the kids nowadays go out.
The kids, I'm 48. I'm a fucking 48-year-old man. I'm dating all these. Every woman I meet now, they either have gotten divorced or, something's going on. There's some baggage. And then not that I don't have it, but, Tampa's filled with it. That's why I moved here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a home of the sketchy woman.
Tampa, I mean, you have major problems.
Single moms and fake boobies. Tampa, Florida. Home of the tramp stamp, everybody. But no, we just went to a nice little restaurant. By the way, Tony, I got to tell you, you don't live my life. People seem to like you. I have to keep everything close to the vest at this point. I don't get out details. I don't talk about anything. I mean, people are going way beyond not only striking the channels, but calling the comedy clubs, calling venues. If I say it like the patio, they're contacted them. And it's just like,
you're not going to go on a podcast and say, I'm going to be at the Quaker Steak and Lube on Canal Road in Valley View tonight between 7:30 and 9. And I'll be there tomorrow for Wing Night, which goes on at this time. It's like, yeah, you're past the point where you're checking in on social media where you're at this point. Yeah,
there's no Foursquare going on with the Z-Man. Mudshark's he's not checking in on Facebook of where he's at ever again. I am this weekend. I have shows. Let me plug that. And I think you're going to enjoy this. This Thursday, I'm going to be in Columbus, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half outside of Florida by the Panhandle. I'm doing a venue there. It's a great show. I do it once a year. I've already contacted the venue because I got psychos coming after me online and they're calling. So I said, this is what's going to happen. Warning you guys. So this is the show. I will be headlining the show. It's always sold out. So get your tickets. Guess who's opening?
Okay. Well, I'm assuming he designed the flyer too, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I'm doing these one-nighters. I'm doing the Loft in Columbus on Thursday, and then on Saturday I'm doing the Block in Fort Walton Beach. Two great venues. David Landau just did it, by the way, the Block in Fort Walton Beach, and it's always packed. And it doesn't matter who's there; they're just there to see comedy. So
Bill Stone is a nice guy.
100%. So nice.
Very nice guy. I've done a million shows with Bill Stone. He's based out of here in Northeast Ohio, where I am, but he's a really, really nice guy.
Right outside of Greenville, South Carolina. I love Greenville, South Carolina. There's a comedy club right downtown that I love.
Yeah, apparently Anthony Cumia wants to get involved in that, from what I've heard.
Really?
Like doing a Rogan-esque type of thing. And I'm not telling tales out of school. He's mentioned this before, that with his connection to a lot of comedians, that comedy club, is it a Comedy Zone?
Yeah, it's right down. Yeah, it's a great room. It's because when you're in there, you feel like it's a New York room. It's very long, like Gotham. It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those where you can be in Greenville, and some of those Southern comics or Florida comics, or people just want to get out of the North for a little bit, can probably go there, and then they can go to Cumia's house and appear on Anthony Cumia show.
Well, wow. I mean, that's what a get.
Do you think he has the pull where he can do like a comedy mothership in Greenville?
I mean, look at his network. Chrissy Mayer, fucking Gino. I mean,
Chrissy made huge news for some racist tinged stuff that she said on, what was that, Newsmax the other day?
It was a hack. It was a hack joke. It was a hack. It was such a fucking desperation.
Black people chicken joke.
It was so hacky. I'm not.
Can you pull that shit up, Jamie, for people who didn't see it?
If you
I
guys
I know you don't. I know it kills you.
it's just unbelievable. I mean, how is she a thing at this point? I mean, how could you even get outraged over that joke? It was just hacky.
Well, yeah, I saw Keith Olbermann say like, "What a racist piece of shit she is," and you go, "Well, I mean,
that's what she does.
Part of the brand now."
I mean, she's all in with this. I mean, this is her lane, right?
Well, I mean, she's ultimately, let's be honest here. If you're somebody who's even moderately right wing, because there's a lot of people like yourself, Dave Landau, a lot of others are not political comedians who were driven to being kind of on this side because of how insane the left has become. And so if you're somebody like Chrissy Mayer, who's like, I'm going to be a right-wing comedian, it's like, then you got to go all in. And there's really no going back. Like, there's no Amy Schumer situation where you're like, oh, no, that was a character I was playing. No, remember when I was making those racist jokes and you said I got fingered in a taxi cab? It's like, no, see, that was a character. I said that was the Amy Schumer, but it was like, you know how Dick Van Dyke is, he's this, and Drew Carey's. It's a character on the show. There's no going back from this.
Well, that's the thing. She wanted to be Amy. Like, she went to the same fucking high school. I guess Amy's like 3 years older. So she saw, oh, there's this girl from Long Island that I used to play volleyball with, and now she's a famous comic. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And then she went left, or she went feminist, and so did Chrissy. And then she realized she wasn't getting any traction. Like, Amy did it, yeah, but then that's Amy's lane. So she's like, oh, now that I have a show on Compound Media, I'll go full on right. And that's exactly what she did. And that's why this is not authentic. This is not real. This is all fake.
Because, like, for me, for example, am I on the right? Yeah, I've always been, and I'm unapologetically more right wing. Like, I would say I'm more what's called paleo conservative, like Pat Buchananite. But I like being here, and this is what my lane is. This isn't a character. This isn't a bit. Whether even though I go on stage, I don't get political on stage, but certainly on podcasts, patreon.com/Joni Mazur. But if you're somebody like Chrissy Mayer, who was an improv actress, who was a left winger when she and Pat Dixon were dating, and then she's leaned into this now, and it's like, all right, well, then there's no turning around here. There's no saying this is a character.
Oh, before we hit play, guys, the channel is now monetized for super chats, so I won't be doing the steel toe route saying go to my Venmo and all that other bullshit. I felt dirty doing it, but thanks for keeping me afloat for the last 2 weeks. I am grateful for that. So let's watch Chrissy's magical joke.
It's pretty ridiculous to just assume that Chick-fil-A, I mean, I'm hesitant to make a fried chicken joke, but they sell fried chicken. I don't know how much more inclusive we can get here.
Hack.
They don't even sell. It's not fried chicken. It's like she could have just said Popeyes. That'd been a little bit better. I make a Juneteenth joke coming up in a couple of weeks, but yeah, Chick-fil-A. I don't really see that many black people at Chick-fil-A.
No, it's kind of honky central. I have one right over on Dale Mabry. I was just there recently. I mean, it was just white people everywhere. It was too many white people. So many white people. I was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not diverse enough. We need more black people at Chick-fil-A.
We need a more diverse Chick-fil-A. It's all about diversity.
But apparently, I mean, that, which is like you said, it's a hack joke, and it's honestly, it's pretty tame. Well, look, let's be honest. If you're booking a comedian to be on a show, you have to expect that there's going to be some shenanigans that are going on. That's probably the easiest joke you can go after, and it still blew up.
That should be a shirt. Holy shit, Decline host. I got to write that down. Oh,
diversity is gay.
That's funny. Oh, that's a hilarious idea. Speaking of shirts, I got mine coming in tomorrow. It's supposed to be here today, but I haven't picked it up. I'm going to be, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do them. I might do a Patreon thing where you have to sign up for a tier, and I will mail you the shirt. So that's how I think I'm going to do it. So that'll be in tomorrow. I got to go in the morning to pick it up. Sunshine, you were just on Dale Mabry. Well, look at you. Someone's doing well.
Who's better, Dale Mabry or Dale Murphy?
The Atlanta Braves. Whatever happened to Dale?
Dale Murphy had a great early career, and then I think he just got hurt and his batting average dropped. And he was actually one of the original Colorado Rockies, which is weird to think that Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves at the time was he caught the final out in the first game at Mile High Stadium for the Rockies when they won. I don't know how I know that.
His rookie year was 1980. Was it 1980?
Yeah, I think he came up in 76, but he won the MVP in 82 and 83.
All right. This guy says, Chad, you should bring people. Wait, this thing is my computer is getting weird. I might have to get a new computer. Hopefully not. Chad, you should bring people on MLM. Sometimes break up the monotony when Kevin gets boring. I've invited a few. They just decline because they're afraid of Kevin. They're all afraid of him. I mean, it's just, that's why they all kind of team up with him because they don't want to battle him.
Oh, I mean, you had Brian Johnson on before, and you called Florentine that one time when Kevin tried to say that you weren't booked with Florentine and that you had a private gig.
Yeah, so I called him live on air just because, I mean, a lot of the reason why I still do that show, because I don't like Kevin's show. I think it's fucking boring and just reading super chats, and I can't believe it's working, but it is. But I only do that just to defend myself because they're just three people talking shit and lying about me. And I was like, okay, there's two sides to a story. You guys made me into this liar guy. And I'm like, no, that's not true. You're all lying, all of you. And today they got Patrick Melton, who's full of shit too, on today.
Did you see I saw a video that Mule posted over the weekend of him laughing at Kevin's technical problems, which was some of the funniest shit I've seen on MLC in a long time.
Yeah. No, Chris, that one? Let me fix this one, Chris. I bought a new computer, but they fixed the old one. So I took the new computer back because it was over $2,000. So this is the old one and it's giving me shit again. So let me get that.
I saw Ray got a MacBook. Someone's doing well.
Someone's doing really well. If Ray got a new Mac, did he get a new backdrop? Did he spend any kind of amount of money in doing something, or just put any money, buy a microphone stand, anything? Like, I have a back room. I'm still building it out. I'm one man. I'm dealing with a lot of shit. I got 3 strikes on a channel, so I can't have a studio built, but I'm going to have a better backdrop. Everything's going to be better. Trust me.
So as far as the update on your channels and stuff, I've heard people talk about that if Kevin, by proxy of Adam, strikes your channel enough times, they're going to investigate his channel for all those strikes and wonder if there's some kind of shenanigans going on.
There's a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about with fair use and everything, and I'm learning every single day about it. I'm talking to people. There's so much out there that nobody really knows. Everyone telling people what they can and can't do, they have no idea what they're talking about. They really don't. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but I will say this. It is not a good idea to go around recklessly striking channels. Kevin's content is all out there. Everyone is uploading clips. They're taking his Patreon. They took his drinking episodes. It's so if you're going to strike my channel, you better go after everybody if that's going to be the case. And you better watch yours, because I'm telling you, it's not a good precedent to set. That was a bad move, I think. I think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as far as the fair use, I mean, you've looked into it enough times where you can, if somebody's going live and you show a simulcast of a live stream, I don't want to say simulcast because that actually sounds like you're in cahoots. It's more so you're showing something that's live, that's not necessarily copywritten. It's not like you're showing a baseball game that has the express written consent of Major League Baseball. That would be okay. Now I can understand why you would get your channel struck, but this is fair use, right?
Yeah, it's just a live stream. It's just, this isn't like a corporation. You're not NBC. You don't have like a production company. I doubt you have an LLC. Like, I think there's a lot that goes into this. So when you start saying, oh, what you're doing is illegal and it's not right, I'm like, it's a live stream off a StreamYard. This isn't a corporation. This isn't a network. This isn't copyrighted. Even all that stuff. Even if I were to play Kevin's theme song right now, like, watch this. I'll play it right now.
Uh-oh.
This won't even get me demonetized because it's not copyrighted.
What the fuck is that?
So there's nothing. That won't even like just me playing that won't even get like a demonetization because it's not copyrighted.
Well, wasn't it originally? Didn't Kevin have to buy that off of Riotcast from Bob Kelly and the rest of them in order for him to break out on his own? He had to actually buy that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact technical thing, but it's not a copyrighted song. Like if I were to play Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're going to demonetize the clip in the video. If I were to play like AC/DC Black and Black, yeah, it's gonna be demonetized. You're not gonna be able to make money off the ads. You're not gonna be able to get super chats. None of that. So that's that.
Yeah, I mean, it was sometimes like if people are taking a clip from like a Simpsons episode or Family Guy, and that there is a song that's in there, that's got to be. Sometimes they actually they mute the song that's in there. Like if there's a thing with Brian and Stewie and they play a song in the background, they actually mute the song because they don't want to get their channel struck. Even though, again, they don't have the rights to Fox's content. So
yeah,
sometimes it gets really confusing. Like obviously, we know you're not going to go up there and play something that is absolutely copywritten. I think everyone should know that by now, especially if you're a content creator. But there's also some of those nuances that get kind of confusing.
But it's so funny. Like everyone thinks they know what they're talking about in this world. Everyone's a lawyer. Everyone knows the law. They know fair use. They know everything, and everyone has been wrong. Everyone. So when people tell you this is how it is, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's a fact. So
music rights are so interesting. And, you know, I'm going to go back in time with this since one of our favorite topics and favorite actors is Gordon Jump.
I know.
Of course, Gordon Jump, we all talk about him at Mr. Horton's Bike Shop in the Different Strokes episode where he's trying to fuck Arnold and Dudley. And then later appeared on Seinfeld and was the Maytag repairman for a little bit. But he was Mr. Carlson and WKRP in Cincinnati. And it was funny because I've talked about this before, but I barely remembered watching WKRP growing up. And I realized why. Because by the time the 90s came around and TV Land was there, the music rights for the songs they played in the show were so expensive that they had to either had like people that sounded like Dr. Johnny Fever and they had to overdub with some sound-alike music. And it sounded like shit. And it was never on syndication growing up. Like maybe in the 80s, but certainly not in the 90s. I know they brought it back briefly, but it's funny how music rights, how just insanely expensive it is. And people are just like, nah, we're not going to pay all that.
Did they play real music in WKRP?
They did. They played Blondie. They played. There's a scene when I think they're playing "Dogs" by Pink Floyd from the Animals album, and it's like a whole long sequence that what's his name, the Hugh Wilson, who created the show, he said, I want the actual music for it to sound like a true radio station, and so they played it, and they said it was like maybe $3,000 to play 15 seconds of a Pink Floyd song. Well, just like a decade later, that 3,000 turned into like 300,000. So they're like, it's not worth it.
Wow. There you go.
Again, Dudley, get those t-shirts.
Mr. Horton's Bike Shop. Now I'm talking to another guy about doing a store. So for now, I'm just going to sell shirts, but I think I'm going to do it through a Patreon level. And then from there, because I need shirts for the road when I do shows. But I'm going to do a whole store thing. I got a lot of ideas, including Diversity's Gay, which is great.
Yeah, bring it to the stand-up shows, especially if you're coming to the Northeast Ohio area from July 14th through the 17th.
That's right. I'm going to be in the Cleveland area. I gotta book a gig. I got one in Medina, and I got to get something else going. July 13th through the 17th. I got to figure something out.
Yeah. Well,
maybe we could do a gig somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you back here when it's not freezing cold and snowing like crazy and having one of our gigs get canceled because there's 18 feet of snow outside.
That was another one where everyone said I was lying. Like they said, like my flight wasn't canceled. And it's just like, again, you guys just rush to the judgment and I'm always proving you wrong. So go fuck yourselves. Period. Boom. Roasted. What do you got going on this week, Tone?
Well, my brother's getting married this weekend, so that's going to be a fun time. Oh,
that'd be fun. You got to go to a wedding?
Yeah, I'm the best man in the wedding, so I've I've come up with the speech, and I wrote it out. And of course, the last time I was the best man was at one of my friends' weddings last year, and Hot Carl was the DJ for it. Our good pal Hot Carl Ferrara, and he gets done. I get done with the speech, and he comes over to take the microphone. He's like, "Nice speech, hot evening at the Improv." Ended up just doing stand up at that point. I'm like doing crowd work.
Well, you know who I talked to yesterday on the phone?
Who? Anyone else who hates me?
I don't think he Joe Howard.
No, Joe Howard barely. Well, no. Once I started getting involved in the compound media universe, that's when Joe Howard actually knew my name.
That's when he started paying attention.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's Tony Mazur." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Mazur, but sure, thank you." But it was like I'm like, "Joe," it's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." I'm like, "Joe, I've met you 15 times. Am I really that forgettable?" Don't answer that, Chad. Of course I am. But anyway.
So here, I got to pull this up because it's pretty fucking funny. Now, if you know Sit Down Zumock and the history, I know a couple people have been with me since Alan Cox. I've been doing Sit Down Zumock since 2013. I started with Tyler, and it's had its incarnate. Everything's kind of switched. The names always stayed the same. Well, Joe was on a lot. He was him and I were running together back when he was a boozer, and we were like, sometimes we're out of control. And if you live in the Cleveland area, you probably know Hot Carl. He's kind of a legend in Cleveland. So every year he would do a comedy show on Thanksgiving. It would be called Hot Carl's Turkey Jam. See this? Look, they're from the Alan Cox Show days. Look it. Shout out.
There you go.
Yeah. So he would do his Turkey Jam, and the flyer was a cartoon of Hot Carl fucking a turkey. That was the flyer, and it's the most obnoxious flyer I've ever seen. And me and Joe would always laugh because every year he would use the same flyer, and it's funny. So, anyways, Hot Carl. So Joe told me about this, and I went to the video. Let me pull it up. Pull it up, Jamie.
Pull that shit up.
Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the flyer right there. You see that? It's Hot Carl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
was that Brothers Lounge?
What's that?
Brothers Lounge.
Yeah,
Winchester.
I think in Winchester. So, Hot Carl. Joe just filmed the video. Here's the video.
Turkey on Joe Howard's fucking leg. Well, you can cross that out the bucket list. Someone had a tattoo of me on them. I would have got it after you died, but I wanted you to enjoy. Oh my God.
So, I think I just missed.
I can't believe this is your life. Joe Howard got a tattoo of me.
So he got the tattoo of the flyer.
Wow. I mean, look, Hot Carl DJ'd my wedding, and he's partially responsible for why I got married in the first place and how I met my wife. Because I told the story before, but we did you, me, Mike Polk, Mary Santora, and Hot Carl did a show at Brothers Lounge one night right before Christmas, and I drank way too many Christmas ale.
Hold on one second. No crosstalk. No crosstalk. Thank you, Girth.
We hit our goal yet?
Yeah, we got to hit the goal, guys. We haven't one super chat all show. What the fuck, man? How am I supposed to hit the goal? I just got monetized.
Sorry, no crosstalk.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got really drunk one night, and at that show, I think that was when your album Reckless Operation was coming out. So you were on the show to promote it, and we were hanging out after and drinking a lot of Jameson, a lot of Christmas ale. I came home, and I was just out of my mind drunk, and I needed to relax my eyes. And so I just scrolled through Facebook, and I accidentally friended a girl who is now my wife. And so I thank Hot Carl and his Christmas ale show and having a good Mary Santora was on that show, stole your Christmas ale jokes. So
by the way, I didn't know you met your wife that night on Facebook. I had no idea.
Well, I accidentally I drunkenly friended her, and so that's why I said Hot Carl has to DJ my wedding, because if it wasn't for your show, then this may not have happened. I would have been dating more damaged girls.
Like I am.
I would have been taking my future wife to a Sebastian Maniscalco movie.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. Look at how things come together. You never know. You never know. But it all blends together. We're all kind of, in each other's worlds.
Well, you saw that Hot Carl, and you're coming back next month, and what, 6-7 weeks you'll be coming back to Ohio. Do you miss it? Do you miss being back here, or is Florida just so much better? Like you come back for a taste.
No, this is basically what's going to happen with this is like every time I come home, I'm like a little excited when I get there. And by day 2, I'm like, it's time to go. Nothing's changed. Nothing changes in Cleveland, Ohio. It's the same shit. Everyone doing the same stuff, but it's fine. It's cool. It's refreshing to see people, and it's always good catching up. But at the same time, I don't necessarily need to be there. I love Florida. I still love it. It hasn't changed. We're going on year 3 now, and just love my neighborhood. I just found out my neighbor, because of some craziness that was going on, we've gotten to be good. Well, he lives about 3.4 miles away. So my neighbor,
live off Dale Mabry.
No, he lives in the Channel side. He talked about that on Rogan, actually. Holy shit. Shanghai surprise. First super chat today. See you at the ChickfilA on Dale Mabry. It's a date. I'll be there. Just make sure you're white. So
exactly. No fried chicken jokes there.
Yeah, no fried chicken jokes there. So I'm talking to the neighbor because we've been talking a lot, and she's a kindergarten school teacher. She's real nice, and she's in her 40s. And right around the same age. I think I'm a little bit older. And her license plate says Florida State. And I go, oh, did you go to Florida State? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I love Florida State. I'm a big Seminole fan. I go, oh, okay. I was like, well, I was a big fan of Bobby Sir and Charlie Ward. And she goes, oh yeah, I remember them. I remember Charlie Ward. And I go, yeah, actually I'm a comedian. She goes, oh, you are? She goes, oh, you know who I'm friends with? Bert Kreischer. And I go,
I knew where this was going. As soon as you said Florida State, I'm like, here's the Van Wilder.
And I'm like, you knew Bert? She goes, well, he was older, but he was still in school when I was there. And I go, I used to open for Bert. I used to be friends with Bert. She goes, no way. She goes, I'm going to text him. I go, no, don't do that. But
hey, I ran into a friend of yours, Chad Zumock. Hello? Go, he hasn't responded.
I go, he grew up in Carrollwood. She goes, oh, I know. And I said, we were talking and stuff like that, but she knew Bert. I go, so let me ask you, was all that stuff bullshit? He was a party animal. She's like, no, he was a party animal. Like, so she like validated it. Like that wasn't a lie.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that Bert wasn't who he was, like a party animal, putting the case of beer on his head or whatever in the lampshade and taking his clothes off. But yeah, no, I mean there were some parts like, well, wait, what was the truth of the Tracy Morgan story? What was that? The Jay Moore, there was that whole beef that was going on.
Well, I think between that story and Jay, I think Bert's lying, and I think Jay Moore's lying. So what happened was Bert comes up with these crazy stories that I think he smoked or meth with Tracy Morgan, or he smoked meth. I forgot exactly how it went. And every time Bert would tell the story,
PCP, that's what it was. Yeah,
that's right. And he goes,
"You smoked some Sherm?"
And he goes, I'm just saying right now, because he goes, I know Tracy Morgan's going to deny this. So that's his out. And of course, Tracy Morgan's denied it. So he told the story to Jay Moore or whatever, and Jay Moore does a Tracy Morgan impression and just lifted the whole story from Bert. So it was two liars lifting from each other. So I think they're both full of shit.
Yeah. What's Jay? Well, Jay Moore is engaged now. Him and Jeannie Buss are engaged, right? Or did they get married?
Say what you want about Jay Moore, but that guy knows how to keep it going. He in Hollywood, he knows how to figure it out. Like he went through his drug problem and now he's fucking engaged to the owner of the Lakers and he'll probably get a cut. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He was with Nikki Cox for 15 years until she couldn't take his certain things that we've heard about over time.
I knew his first wife, Nicole. She was actually doing comedy for a minute when I first started in LA. I was doing a lot of open mics with her, and her whole act was making fun of Jay Moore. That was her whole act.
Well, it should be pretty easy based on some of the things that we've heard over time.
Well, they I think this Nicole, she went on tour with Alonzo Bowden and they started dating. I don't know whatever happened to her, but she was very nice.
Well, wasn't Nikki Cox, before Jay Moore, she was with Bobcat Goldthwait for a while.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nothing like going from Bobcat to Jay Moore.
I don't know. He was just
she played and a young Nikki Cox, I believe. She played the sister of Ryan White in the Ryan White Story, starring Lucas Haas. And
how do you know that?
Yeah. How do I know that, or that you did know that?
No, how did you know that?
I remember it in school. We watched the Ryan White story with Lucas Haas, where he played the young Ryan White who's battling the homophobic and AIDS phobic people in Kokomo, Indiana. And yeah, a young Nikki Cox.
Kokomo, Indiana. I did stand-up comedy in Kokomo, Indiana. There was a comedy club there.
White jokes?
No, I didn't even know anything about it. I just remember it was the comedy club lasted 6 months. It was ran by this dude. He's not even in comedy anymore, but he was like the sketch. No, it was he was a kid from Indianapolis. Like he was yeah, he's not even comedy. He pissed off so many people. This guy was so sketchy. He would not get on social media because people were trying to find him for money. So he was name one comedian who's not on social media. Like he didn't have Twitter, Facebook, nothing. You couldn't find him, and now he's gone completely.
Even Dave Attell has some presence, but it's his manager running it.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember Kokomo, Indiana, because it sounds like it's exotic, like it's a tropical location, and you get there.
It's a shithole that probably has a.
It's a Walmart.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What do they have? A Stuckey's there?
Probably. Who knows? Who knows? Shout out to Bob and Tom though, Indianapolis, right?
Absolutely, and Christy Lee and
Chick McGee. I love them all. No, I did reach out when I had that strike, and they lifted it. Dean, their producer, did me a favor, and he was really cool about it. So my feud with Bob and Tom is no longer. It's over.
Even though you still say fuck Chick McGee, though.
Not a fan. He was kind of a dick to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Bob and Tom was perfect for these small town radio stations that didn't want to pay a host. You know, God forbid you pay a host like $25,000-$30,000 a year, and so you just go on the satellite and then pay for the Bob and Tom show, and where your comedians just go up there and do their act on the show.
I know, and then they go to the comedy club that night to see you do the exact same set you just did that morning. It's it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you're like, wow, I just saw this, or I just heard him do this morning. I just so happened to be at Go Bananas in Cincinnati, or Crackers Comedy Club in Indianapolis.
Did I tell you I found the video where I walked off Bob and Tom?
No, you've been looking. It's like an Easter egg hunt. We've been looking for this. This was the white whale for a while.
So I think I've already talked about this on one of the podcasts. So Tony's new to it, and some of you guys haven't even seen it. So I used to be a regular on Bob and Tom. I would guest host Bob and Tom. Bob and Tom's a national morning show, and
very scripted.
Very scripted. They were big in the 80s. They were huge in the 80s. And when you're a young comic, when you're a road comic, it was your goal to get on Bob and Tom. Like if you get on Bob and Tom, you could use Bob and Tom as a credit. Like you've heard him on the Bob and Tom show. So I got into the Bob and Tom rotation. So the last couple of times I went on Bob and Tom, they were being kind of dicks to me. They were starting to ice me out more.
Even though Tom is from Cleveland.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why he liked me. But Chick McGee, their morning guy, their sports guy, was just always being a dick, making remarks. And it was just like, why am I doing this?
It was also from Ohio, I believe.
So sorry, I'm like Ray DeVito.
No, you're good. Just show your pink blanket.
Yeah. So I was moving to Los Angeles. This was 2017. And you know how that all worked out. It all failed. But I was moving there, chasing the dream. I was going to join Tripley's Punch Drunk Sports, the network, all things comedy. Brody Stevens and I were going to run a room in the Valley together. I was going to do a monthly show at the Hollywood Improv. It was all good. I said, you know what? On my way out there, let me break up the trip. First stop, Indianapolis, and I'll do the Bob and Tom show one last time, even though they've been dicks to me. And I went in there with the mentality, if they pull anything, I'm walking off. I'm just going to walk off.
It's kind of like the Godfrey story with Mancow.
Yeah. And then so I go in there, and Bob's doing his thing, and our Tom's doing his thing, and they're literally, I'm just sitting there. They're not asking me questions. They're talking past me. And that's when you have a guest in studio, you're supposed to I gave them a list of things to talk about, and they were just ignoring me. And I go, all right, I know what I'm going to do. As soon as I thought I heard a slight, I'm walking off. So I got the video. The video used to be up and it had like 100,000 views, but Bob and Tom took it down because it was just going viral and they were posting it everywhere. But it got back to me. Somebody somehow got it. And here it is. This is me walking off the Bob and Tom show. And let me just say, no hard feelings. So this is it. If you already seen it, oh well.
I like the way they're so specific.
Yeah.
You got your jazz, you got your blues.
We got a band in the studio.
Yeah, sounds great.
Could have been jazz, blues, and
Popeyes.
burgers or ribs.
Burgers.
But it suits.
And they're doing this corny
Chad
conversation.
Zumock mocking me with his haircut, shaved in the sides, high on top.
Oh, yeah.
Very popular look with the Hitler Youth,
There
making
we
a
go.
very unfortunate comeback in our culture. I'd like to find out what hairdressers are responsible for that terrible look. And there's Chick
Meanwhile,
McGee.
he's saying that they don't even cut to me. They're just
Bad
plain.
attitude. Josh getting ready
That's
to
pretty
be
much, yeah.
Josh Arnold getting ready to be in a wedding in St.
Here, let me
Louis.
fast forward a little
Like
bit.
that, yeah.
There you go.
Like that.
This looks like you're in the Blues Brothers, or
It really does, yeah.
okay, good to know.
Pretty classy. Who doesn't
I'm
need a
trying to
classy
be. I'm trying to like smile and laugh.
Well,
Everyone needs
And by the way, this is a re-upload, right?
Yes.
So this isn't the original clip. For anybody who thinks that the view count here is the original view count.
Yeah.
date somebody who would make.
No, this has been sent to me.
I didn't say make you. You would.
Where would you go? In a suit?
Plenty of events around town where you need a
The
suit.
cinema?
Yeah.
Walk in a suit. And
So we're 2 minutes in. They still haven't
The
even
Aquaman.
acknowledged I was there. Well, that one time with the haircut.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
Auto
much,
Parts
Duke Tomato
Studio.
and the Power Trio. We'll be hearing more from Duke in a matter of moments. Right now, we are joined.
Then they
from
start
Los
talking about
Angeles
banana bread.
by Kostaki Economopoulos, the biggest name in
They go
American
to
comedy.
they go
Kostaki,
straight to the
how are
phones.
Jazz, blues, and soup. I can't believe I've never worked that gig.
Yes.
you? Now, if it were a
It
Greek
doesn't say
place,
comedy, Kostaki. It says soup.
That's right. Jazz, comedy, and soup. There's a gig.
no, if we're
So they're talking. He goes to the phones to another comedian, and I'm in studio. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
for Greek, it would be what jazz, blues, and baklava. What is that stuff?
Baklava.
I'll go Lemno.
Baklava. What is
Yes, there's a they said.
Now they're talking food. I don't know what's going
the
on.
Thing that race car drivers are balaclava.
Watch this.
Balaclava, yes.
That's
I
the
just
thing
lose
that
my
goes
cool
over your
watch.
head and then-
Baklava is
Baklava
a Greek
Baklava is
dessert.
the
Greek
dessert.
dessert. Okay,
Which I've
yeah.
never had.
It's very good.
What?
Yeah.
It's
we should go some.
pastry, super sweet, right? Full
Watch
of honey.
me.
What is it? Phyllo bread? How do you say
I don't
it?
know what the
Sorry.
fuck is going on.
Phyllo dough on the top.
Phyllo dough.
It's layers. That's labor intensive. You don't want to make that. It's too hard.
Watch.
Okay.
I've heard it's the
You wanna
Mount
buy it.
Everest of pastry.
I'm so
So
annoyed.
good.
Yeah.
Very
Sure.
sweet, very honey.
You
Sticky.
dunk it in your ouzo. Oh.
I have no idea what's going on right now.
It's all Greek to you?
Nice. Thanks for adding a punchline. Kostaki. Kostaki. I don't really want to say this. But,
Watch Chick McGee. Watch it. Look at Tom's laugh. He's nervous.
Oh boy.
He doesn't
Now
know
I'm
what to
nervous.
say.
Kostaki. Chick McGee had a rough weekend.
And they just ignored it. They don't even address the elephant in the room. They just go.
Well, that was their whole show. And Bob was gone by then. It's still
Bob-
a Bob and Tom show. Tom takes like most of the year off or has several health problems. Bob's been retired for like 7 years now.
Well, I know they're just still using the name, but it was just like,
talk about living on a reputation.
and then I throw in my headphones and he's, they don't even address it. They don't even talk about it. It's just like, what are you doing? That's drama. That's awesome. You should talk about it.
God, imagine listening to that show. For the people who can't stand any of the shows that we do, it's like at least at least we say fuck, so that's one thing.
Yeah, and cunt.
That's just awful. That's what's on radio nowadays. That's why when everyone's like, "Oh, with Gino getting you fired, I bet you're jealous or pissed off." I'm like, no, because otherwise that would have been my life. I don't want that to be my life. I want this to be my life.
Yeah.
Where I'm off on a Monday and I can do 2:30 Mondays with MAZUR with Chad Zumock and have a good time, drink during the show.
But that's what they
Get shit on in the chat. It's great.
But that's what Bob and Tom would do is like they would love you at first and kiss your ass, and then if you became a regular and you weren't popping, they just kind of like they want to just control you and put you in your place. And I don't have any animosity towards them anymore. They helped me out quite a bit starting out. It was exciting, and they actually helped me with this channel strike. So I mean, I just had to play it because I think it's funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, Bob and Tom was a thing. So was a lot of things that just kind of passed their prime. I don't know. It could be podcasts too. Like
Compound Media.
Certain ones at 4:00, sometimes podcasts, they had a nice shelf life. They had a good run and they're just not the same anymore.
Well, with that being said, I will be back at 3:55 doing the same fucking bullshit that I'm always doing, trying to make the show better. But thank you. This will be up on Patreon, our both respected Patreons later tonight. We'll see about the channel this week. I appreciate everyone supporting me and having my back during all this. So if you're in the chat and you want to head over to the other stream, go get that thing going. But Tony, before we get out of here, what do you got?
Yes, it's of course patreon.com/Tony Mazer. I have free content that comes out every Wednesday on the podcast platforms. But if you want extra content, me talking about, let's see, today's show, which I haven't recorded yet, but it'll be up. Use the bathroom, get another beverage, and then record my podcast today. So talking about the what's called AVE, African American Vernacular English. That's they put out a new dictionary with the newest words. So we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that, and I don't have a guest on. Yeah, more Pride shit that's been going on this month. So it's gonna be a fun podcast. So go check that out at patreon.com/Tony Mazer, TonyMazur.
And patreon.com/sit-down Zumock, motherfuckers. Thank you so much. I'm overtime, everybody. Oh, and here's a little homework. This Thursday, I won't be doing a show because I'll be traveling to Columbus, Georgia. And during that time, it's a 6.5-hour drive. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do on Sunday for Cumia's Cucks because I'm going to be driving back from the Panhandle at Fort Walton Beach. So we'll see what happens, guys. But thank you. We will talk to you soon. Thanks for the continued support, even though I'm not on the right channel. We'll get things going. For the